All right, everyone, Swisher. I whistled when I said that. I'm not doing that again. Check this out, Swisher. Big Mike's Swisher. Toe behind. I just want to go over here and just show you real quick. Now, look at that. Made in the USA since 1945. Bringing back American manufacturing. For those that know my channel and how I talk about all the stuff that's out there. But it's expensive, right? Now look at this one, right? But this is the monster, right? They're expensive, but that's what you get from something like this. So it's been around a long time. He got this machine real cheap as he tries to get everything. He tries to get he says he's the king of like the $250 deal, something in that range, right? That's his general operating. If it's an expensive machine, something that was obviously worth more than $250. So in this video, we're going to kind of do whatever I didn't do in the last video. The last video was just a few things that I did to it, and I went over the carburetor. I took the carburetor off, and then I put the carburetor back on after we rebuilt it, and that was a Nikki carburetor. And then we did some testing, and we found that there are some issues with the engine, but it runs good. And in this video, it's all the other stuff that we kind of did to it. We put different tires on it, try to raise it up a little bit. His problem is that these are really finish mowers, and his upstate property, it grows like wheat. When the rainy season comes, the grass is horrendous. Oh, and that's the heat. Just leave it on because it's cold in here, right? It's horrendous. It grows like wheat. But again, when you're trying to find stuff for the $250 range, you're on a budget. You don't always get the exact same thing you're looking for, but it's still a fine machine. So we raised it up a little bit. It runs pretty good. I think it does need a little bit more work, but it's been doing its job. He cleaned up the body, made it nice. So in this video, we're going to kind of go through a little bit more on the engine. I went over the ignition system. I didn't know, since I hadn't run it long enough, I didn't know to check the valves. And I talked about that in the last video as well, going over the valves, because I think there is some recession going on here. The valves are moving backwards. You could see deeper explanation of that on the last video. Go check that out towards the end where we run it. And you can see the symptomology of valve recession, receding valves, reversion back through the carburetor. But it cleans up. And if we keep the engine running around 3,200 RPMs, it seems to work fine. So we'll go over a couple of things in this video on the machine. You'll get a closer look at the machine itself because we really didn't look at any of that. Just kind of finish up the project, get it out the door. Also finish up the project for this year's season. We're deep into winter, or it's almost Christmas time. There's snow on the ground, and I'm still behind on videos. So I figured, let's get this out. We'll close that up. That was the summer. And the days that I did this was like a 2-day thing. I had to get it out for them. It was in the high 90s, which is a big difference from now. Let's get started. All right, so he got running real good. He did a repaint and de-rust, did a bunch of stuff to it. He went to go get an air filter. And he wants it a little higher. His problem is he needs like a DR brush mower. These are finish mowers, and that's part of why he killed his Sunstar, and he's been struggling upstate. And we were thinking about changing the height by welding a plate onto here, and then that gives us more adjustability. We can drill a couple of holes, and then the rest of the adjustability is done there with that crank, right? So you can really dial it in. But he doesn't need that much more height. And you're going to see in a minute, let me just close that up. I think with a taller tire, he'll be fine. And then this week, I just want to kind of go over it. We'll pull the tin, we'll pull the carb. It runs a little weird, but it runs okay. It starts right up. That's another episode. I'll do a video on that. Let me put you down on the stand for a minute. Yeah, he always makes these nice covers because he's a roofer. And he knows how to work in these materials, and it's easy for him, and he has it. So this is your standard tire. This is what came off of the Craftsman. And you could see, and this is beat, but is so much higher. He doesn't need that much more height. But what's on the Craftsman is basically what's on all of these machines. And those fit fine. They were able to hold air, obviously. They're a little low now, but they were able to hold air. It's the same thing that's on all of these, almost. Well, this one's a little bit different, but these
So I said, just go get 2. We had to go over to Tractor Supply anyway to get some pet food and whatever else. I'm like, just pick 2 of them up, you know, with the rims and everything.
So our plan is to make it run better. At least check it over. That means we got to pull the carb, but we're not only going to pull the carb, pull the plug, and we're also going to pull the top off and check his ignition. But before we do that, I'm going to suck the fuel out. I don't know what fuel's in there, but we're going to get rid of that fuel. Let's level it too a little bit. I need to be able to actually have it a little higher in the front because I need to be able to suck the fuel out. And right now she's leaning towards the front. I did put it on charge. I did the resto charge on it. It's like desulfating maintenance, they call it. We got to get out of here. I got like a day to finish this. And then if we can get that running better, we're going to put the other tires on. Bought a nice set because we got to get it up a little bit higher. So we got a nice set of tires, right, to get on. Let's get started. I'll bring it back. Well, I'm not seeing any cloudiness, but I did see floaters. There is some dirt in there. You're not going to see it, but they were floating around in there as I was sucking it up. All right, let's get the rest of it off. I'll see you guys in a bit. And if you can't see it now, I'll bring it back later. We'll get the other camera, but she's running a little lean. That might explain some of the... It's like a miss. He's not really... I don't think he's describing it right, but that's not bad. So I can pop these off and the ones in the front, but the dipstick's going to want to come out. Probably going to pee oil. Although I have it lifted up a little bit in the front. Yeah, there we go. So look at how clean that is. That's almost as nice as I make it. You know, like when I paint them. All right, now, I got the magnet set up. And it's right here. And there's like no clearance. Yeah, not even a 10,000ths will go in. So, that's one of his issues. All right, let me show Mike. But yeah, we're going to take that off, clean everything, and put it back. I'm going to go to 12 because 10,000ths is nice, but there's no break or anything like on a lawnmower. This just sits out, and then you get all of this junk build up and rust, and then you know, on both surfaces, and it gets in between everything. You have like no gap left, right? So that's why I'm going to do that to 12. Stand by. I'm just going to blow it, but you can see all the junk. Now we're going to get that. I often talk about that. I want to get the contact surfaces clean, and I'm going to use my tool. I'll show you in a minute for that. But let me just give it a quick blow, and we'll disconnect the coil. Now we want to tighten these bolts on the rocker cover. I see a little bit of weepage. Yeah, all right, let me go clean all this stuff up. But just to show you, these are the standoffs, right? We want to get those. Nice and clean. We'll get a little bit of a chain wax on all of this. And we'll spin it around because it'll stop it from rotting. And we'll also get the gear. I just want to get this section here because this is going to stick on there and it'll dry. And it's a lubricant, but it's light film. And that's good. And I'll put some on the coil too in a minute, but while I was just kind of in here, just a little bit of our white grease. Some of it'll burn off, but it'll kind of sit in there and do its thing. And it'll spin around. You can put regular grease too. You just, a couple of dollops. I'll probably put a few dollops that's good. Right before I close it up, and then this guy, mostly on the ends, and on the electrical connector. Keep it from rotting. Get a little bit more life out of it. The rest will burn off, like I said. This side out. We gotta move the magnet out of the way. Yeah, she's not really in the right spot for this coil. It should have been longer. That's not laying right. This should have been longer. All right, so he pulled that tight. We got to release that. That's the problem. That's another problem. All right, that's no good. That's not sitting on there right. He's mentioned that. I don't know if you guys can see that. Can you see over here? Yeah, you can just about see it. We'll get another look in a minute. We'll put a little bit of a twisty, and it's also oxidized. There we go. We'll reconnect that later. Deal with that later. He also said something about it not shutting off right, and that could be the reason. So we'll have to come back to that. So this needs to go like this to clear properly. So we need that extra. So that was another issue. So this should be 12 thousandths. Let's spin the magnet around, straddling both. We'll get our 12 thousandths in. And as you can see it there, just kind of hold it in place. Loosen this guy up. There we go. And we'll just hold it there. Now, I like to put a little extra, like quarter turn. Because you're crushing wafers, but these wafers are getting like solid, you know? All right, come here, you. All right, that part's done. Well, I wish I could take these tins off easy, but I don't see an easy way of doing that. But let's just see. Usually by the muffler. Yeah, that was loose, fellas. There's no way to get there. I'm willing to bet that there's one right here. It's probably a little loose. Let's see how this one is. I can get a wrench in here. Yeah, that one's good. Let's try this one. That's okay. Took a little bit. Probably that one more bottom one. I can't get in there, I don't think. Yeah. I'm not going to be able to get that. So, but I think there's like one more. Is this one here? There might be one more back in there, but I think we're okay. We got that one. That's probably the worst of it. Just some dollops of grease. If I can get some grease on there, I might have to use my finger. Just push it in. Just a couple of dollops. It's going to spray out wherever we can get it, right? While the plug is out and I can turn it. And then back in here, fellas, chain lube, not chain wax. You're not going to be able to see it, but we want to get some on this Bendix. So I'm just going to hose a little bit in there. I can't really get in there to do anything. Once the cover's on, we're not going to be able to get to it. Oil or chain lube, not chain wax, no grease, nothing like that. It won't work right when the cold weather comes. Touching OCs, gap to 30. Yeah, that's better. Oh, that's neat. It's been the store. This is from 2019. So this battery, so yeah, it's getting a little older. That's why I put it on that desulfating charge, that repair, restore, or whatever you want to call it, whatever they call it. This in here is actually some lead plate. Oh yeah, you gotta save this for the special stuff, right? Oh my God, it's lead! You're gonna die immediately. No, don't lick it. Don't swallow it. It's in oil, and it's fine, right? This is lead. Oh my God, you're gonna die! Jeez. You know, try not to get it like everywhere in the environment, like that kind of thing. You know, it's like I say, same thing with asbestos, great stuff. And then they started putting it in talcum powder and everything, right? That's the problem, right? We don't pay attention. So this can go here. And that'll add support, proper support. And that can go there. But you would think we do need a little bit bigger washer for this. Positive on first, it's easier. And you're not gonna electrocute yourself and go blammo against anything. Watch out with your wrenches. Blammo! Yeah. I actually have some shorter wrenches for like the automotive stuff, like in tight spots, so that you can't go blammo. Yeah, this one's a little bit more rotted. I brought this, I don't know if you can see it. You can kind of see it. Where's my finger? Yeah. Let me move you. So I extended it, stripped the wire back, put a butt connector on it, extended it. This is MTW machine tool wire. And it's all up out of the way, and I just put like a little tie wrap as a clamp. Everything's out of the way, up against the motor, not in the way, plenty of extra, okay? And we'll terminate it in a little bit. Now over here, this is some piece of, it looks like a piece of high temp sleeve. So there's a little blade connector there. And I don't like that. I bent it away a little bit. That's an arc issue. That's an arc problem. Not an arch problem. I got plenty of them, an arc issue. We may want to remove that. I don't know. Maybe we'll put a piece of heat shrink. I don't know. This is going to fall off. As long as it's away from this substrate, it should be okay. All right, well, it's so close to the ground that I can't get any of my jacks, even the low profile stuff. You don't need anything big because it's not all that heavy. But I set that up. We got this. Thanks, Big Mike. Get it. Where's the caps, Mike? Where are the caps? Nobody puts any. So cat. Oh, that's just. Oh, that was good. He had it on the highway. That car wasn't even spread. Oh my gosh! I just can't. I can't, fellas. I tried, but I can't. Is that coming off? Is that a washer? Yeah. All right. Let's just see what we got. Make sure it's going to fit. That's getting some wear there. There should be a washer back there, I think, too. And these are not as big as the ones that I really wanted, but they're not going to have that around the corner in any place. But it is bigger. It's wider, but yeah, she's a good amount bigger, a couple of inches or so. So the one washer will fit. So that'll give him some more height. For sure. Yeah, she needs another washer. Let me see what I got, because we just need something to put in the back. And when I'm done, I'll let you know. I got some of my grease on. There's a big cavity in the center of the spindle, so put some grease on first. I put the bigger washer in the back. That's good, it'll space it out. I found these came off of that wheel that I was showing you guys. I think I might have showed you. It's in the back, an old wheel. I have a box or something, I don't know, I gotta find them. That's why I've been trying to clean up, fellas. So the grease fitting's back there, we'll get to that in a bit. We'll finish up with that. Get grease on everything. All right, plenty of room there.
Just put a little bit of grease on this washer because she's going to be rubbing on it. You guys going to be rubbing on it? I'm going to be rubbing on it later.
How dare you!
Oh, Hutch, that's, you know, listen, fellas, don't go there. Your head's in a bad place right now. I'm not talking about that. At least not what you're probably thinking. Let's put a proper welcome back cutter pin on. Let's see what we got. Let's open up the cutter pins. What do we have here? This looks good. Looks a little short though. Let's see. Yeah, that'll be good. We got some extra washers. Do we need another one? Let's see. With the big one on the back, we should be okay. Can we get one more? Hold on. You want it relatively tight. You don't want it banging around. The other one's probably all worn and everything. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good. Get it down there. Good. Where's my other tool now? I need my other tool. That's why I hate working on the ground. It's like the old days working on cars. Gotta get back up. You get so much exercise just getting up and down, which is good for you in a way, but it's tiring, especially when you get older. You know, when you're young and you're like a kid, it's awesome. Dab grease right there, just release any issues, avoid any problems in the friction department. And let's see if this cap, new cap, mine cap. Will go on? Yeah, probably will fall off, but I think you can even heat these. Yeah, that goes on good. Yeah, that's suctioned on. I heard it. Yeah, that's appropriate, right? Let me do the other one. I adjusted the tire. They were like 20-something pounds. It's supposed to be rated 14. I just put them up to 15. I'll do the other one, and I'll see you guys in a bit. I think it's awesome. It seems to fit fine, right? We don't have any excess wobble now, right? Because it was just all over the place. It'll hold its position. It's correct. I'll lubricate it. I got to squirt a couple, 3 squirts from behind. I got to get it from behind, fellas. See you in a bit. All right, fellas, I'm going to top off the oil because I had to pull the dipstick, and when I was turning it over, it peed out some. And so I got the air cleaner off. I wrote on it. We'll see that in a bit. He's also missing the O-ring. I got the tires all lubed up. I wanted to spray just a little bit of chain wax and some white grease in a few spots. I'll show you. Down in here where the pivot is for the adjustment, there's a little bit of white grease. I got to get some more of this. You know, we need things that are more like dry lubes. Just so that this stuff doesn't ever seize up. There's some rollers down there too. With the pins, so that the pins come out, we'll get a little bit over some of the connectors. And followed by some white grease. Get the spring in there, because this goes in like a penetrant, whereas the white grease doesn't really do that. White grease has a way of sort of laying on top. This stuff is really nice. I mean, like, you can just use this for so many things. And there's quite an adjustment here, though. Anything we can do to stop things locking up. All right, I got that. I'm not going in these guys. He's been over it, right? He doesn't want to spend a lot of money. Well, nobody does, right? I don't know. Who's ever came to me and said, Arch, can you go over this? I want to spend a lot of money, right? No one's ever come to me and been like, yeah, how, you know, what's our budget? Oh, just I want to spend a lot of money, Arch. You know, not a problem. Money's not an issue. Go ahead. You know, even if you rip me off, that's fine. All right, let me keep going. So the paint funnel, right? Capture, because he had some floaters, but no water, nothing bad. And I checked the tank. It's not bad. You know, it's got a couple little things in it, but we're not taking it off to give it a full wash. Now there's some stuff trapped in the bottom there, so we're not going any deeper than that. And let me go clean this out. Clean out my, you're not gonna be able to see it, but there are some floaters in there. Let me clean this out. Yeah, we'll level it. I think it levels it. I brought it in the shade for now. It's a little in the dark, but the snapper was red hot. In fact, I needed gloves just to touch the steering wheel. But yeah, she's much higher. So again, this way, choke out. Here's the wiring that I did. Just a little different look. Everything is tied up nice. Nothing's gonna grab it. You know, one of the problems you have is bushes and whatever, but where he is, that's not gonna be an issue. But you always have to keep that in mind. Oh, needs more. Now, why is that choke not? There we go. You gotta give it a good pull. Oh, you see that belch out the carb? It belched out. So we have a little bit of a valve issue. She's reverting back. This is called reversion. And that's because the valves have recessed. They may not be closing properly. All right, let me just get you out of here on this, right, real quick. So let's go over and take a look at this cut sheet here. Here we see the newer version, obviously, with the newer motor. And once again, they give you this little tank. But notice, and you'll see this more, as this has more to do with the other video where I go through the plumbing on the flathead with the tank that they have that's mounted up a little higher. But notice, it comes down, but it does come from the very bottom of the tank, of course, but it has to come up to get to the carburetor. Now it's a different carburetor design. So I wanted to make note of that. And it's a small tank. This is, I mean, it almost looks like this is a spot where you grab it with your hand and load it on like a little fuel jug. I don't know what that is. I want to make mention of that. Now, here's the way that you can offset the mower or gang them, right? But what I really want to show you, this is interesting. This is, I don't know, this is like an additional, I don't know what that is, a brace or something. But here's what I want to show you. And so get that in your mind, this adjustment for the front. And again, I don't know how he's mounting it to an ATV or whatever else he's got going on up there. The pickup is towards the front on both. And if you nose it up in the front,
then the gas is going to be away from the tank itself and where the tank pickup is, down at the very bottom on both style tanks. And that's kind of important because in the other video I talk about fuel scavenging, and the problem is that these, Big Mike and Contractor Mike and others have said to me that you get no runtime out of these things. And I make mention of that in the other video because the tank can't really support, multi-acre use for any real length of time. And I also talk about scavenging and sort of missing flat spots, this kind of thing, pulsing. That's because the fuel signal, the fuel load, is having to go upward, and the tank is very small. And what I've noticed over the years is for a lot of these machines where if the machine noses forward, like on a rototiller, and the gas tank's mounted towards the front, and the pickup for it is kind of out of the window area for where it can really suck fuel. As you get lower and lower in the tank, maybe halfway down in some cases, she starts to cavitate and it won't run right. And then you got to throw the machine in the other direction. But again, if I could just kind of make this clear, what I noticed is I was pulling it around. Now, I didn't pull it very far. I don't know what he's doing, but if you don't level the machine, and you could have the machine nosed up a little bit, and then you could be going uphill, you won't even know it. And as the tank gets lower and lower, you're going to start cavitating, and you might think you're running out of fuel, or you might even think to yourself, what's wrong with it? It's not running right again. And, I just want to make mention of that. This is a problem. Now, lastly, and again, I'll get you out on this, in the same thing, like with a lot of the mowers and stuff that I sell, including the mower that I use, for higher grass, one of the things that I'll do is I'll adjust the lawnmower to the height of the grass that I want. Now, that's debatable, all the way around. Some people like very low grass, and their grass is not for that. And they mash it up and chop it, and it's horrible. And the lawnmower struggles. And I had a new machine I sold to a guy, and he brought it back because he screwed up the machine from doing that. New homeowners, right? But what I've noticed is, let's say you get it to a nice, reasonable level. And in the spring, the grass, when you first start off in winter, it might be literally an inch or less. And then it does this, and boy, does it get big fast, which is his scenario. Now, as that grass starts to go up, if you don't want to chop the grass or, whatever, and just kind of wreck it, or you want to get a good cut and you don't want to overwhelm the mower and you're really starting to get big, come up with a level for the grass. And then I nose that front up one notch, and that stops the diving and the chopping and all the other stuff that goes on. It gives a mouth to the mower, and it allows it to ingest a little bit more and then process it, especially if you're mulching. The undulations of the lawn, or maybe by the curb or whatever, you're less likely to just scalp, which is a common thing as you start to get too low. Now, that's great. I recommend that. However, in this case, I still recommend it, but in this case, you still have the problem of where the pickup is on the tank. Because if you start to raise it up in the front, right behind your tow machine, you can get a little bit of height out of that. It will help, especially in his situation, but you're going to see the situation of this sort of surging and everything a lot sooner. You're going to have to drive around with another fuel can while you're out there, right? You're going to have to keep that tank on the machine sort of filled up. I'm just saying, this is the stuff that what you see as a guy like me kind of fooling around with this stuff all these years and fixing machines and using them and trying different things and hokey ideas. Put that in the back of your brain. Even if you don't have one of these or whatever it is that you're doing, think about opening up the mouth a little bit, right, in the front. Give that a shot. Let me know, this year when coming up, see how it goes. I don't make them, I just fix them, and I try to show you guys what I do. I do resto, refurb, restification, fixing, repairs, and fooling around. I'll see you guys on the next one.